James Okeefe put out an expose about a Secret Service agent who is just flapping at the gums because he's out for lunch with a hottie. I mean, I use the word only humorously because I'm a married man and my wife is the most beautiful woman on earth. But as Dr. Ruth once said, if you stop finding other women attractive, you're no longer attracted to your... Bullcrap. I'm doing the hottie only as a joke because what the hell's wrong with people? Like, I will not be able to be honey trapped ever at any point in my life. There's no but, there's no caveat. I would have to be drugged. I would have to be drugged and legally not able to consent for any form of a honeypot to have the slightest chance of working. And yet, it's like nobody learns, and all you have to do is show a little affection to a guy who might not have been the coolest guy in high school. And no, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the guy in this video. And they just start spilling the beans. So James Okeefe put out a video, it's an expose, of a Secret Service agent. I won't play the entire thing, I'm not even going to play very much of it. A Secret Service agent who's currently working with J.D. Vance on J.D. Vance's detail. And it's like an attractive woman, I don't even know if she's attractive because I don't remember seeing her face, shows him a little bit of interest. And this dude just starts, texting pictures from in the plane, texting pictures from at J.D. Vance's place, telling them where they're going to be, where they've been. I mean, it's an idiotic thing to do. Not necessarily out of malice, not necessarily out of malfeasance, maybe just some guy who is now finding that he can score chicks with his position at Secret Service. They're not bleeping out swear words. They're not bleeping out swear words. They're bleeping out information that could be prejudicial if it were to go public. James Okeefe was pretty meticulous about censoring any potentially, I don't want to say classified or sensitive information from this.
Vance's Secret Service agent informs the stranger when he has picked up J.D. Vance's wife and even mentions that he and Vance are currently at... Tomas even sends a selfie from inside a J.D. Vance's residence at the Naval Observatory. It's basically a secure location while the Secret Service is surveilling the vice president's home. Now, while he's supposed to be guarding the vice president's property, Tomas is busy snapping selfies, texting our journalist. Now, here's a picture that Tomas sent us, taking off from Joint Base Andrews Air Force Base. You see the convoy vehicle.
It's just a guy trying to flex. Look how important I am. Look where I am, et cetera, et cetera. So the expose has come out, and there's been a response, which we're going to get to in a second. But my overall assessment is this is just some idiot who's trying to show off and impress a girl, and doesn't even stop to think for a second. You know what's amazing? Like, I'm mildly neurotic. Some of you might know that by now. And whenever I have someone on for a live stream, it's like I'm always nervous they're going to say something that I can't take off the internet, or when I pull up a screen that I'm going to show an address or something, or like when I take a picture. When I went to Mar-a-Lago, I asked the guys, like, what are the rules for where I can take video, take streams, and it's always in the mind of a neurotic hypochondriac. The dude works for Secret Service. It doesn't stop to think for a second that maybe if this woman is a Chinese spy, I don't know if she is, or a Russian spy, or a Ukrainian spy, or an Iranian spy, that they might be using that information. And set aside the potentially nefarious purposes for which that information can be used. How about just from your own ass covering perspective? Like the guy that was on the submarine that sent pictures to his wife, and then he ended up getting sentenced to 10 years in jail. Like from your own cover your ass perspective, maybe don't create exposure for yourself. No, it's like you start thinking with the small head and not the big head, and then, that's it. I said, look, this might not be malice or malfeasance, but it shows incompetence at the highest level and the most important levels of government. The same levels of incompetence, like this is what I just love, as having a 5-foot woman attempting to shield Trump after the Butler assassination attempt. Do you remember this? Do you understand this? Like, in any realm of the universe, Trump doesn't survive this. And after he survived that, they have this woman who's a full head. She might even be taller than me for all I know. They have a woman. It's not that she's a woman. If it was me, it's like, hey guys, maybe I can protect the dwarf and maybe get someone a little bit bigger than me to protect Trump, who's over 6 feet tall. Oh, that's great. If there's another shooter out there, I appreciate that Sean Curran's there. He's a big man. He's from behind. The bullet came from the front. 5-foot woman protecting Trump. All right, that might be malice in terms of, deliberately staffing inadequate people to protect the president. Maybe not. Loose lips sink ships. It's not complicated protocol. You don't discuss Secret Service detail with anyone, even if you're trying to impress someone on a date. And then I just had to refresh my memory. There's some stuff that can be just lapses of judgment, lapses of reason, trying to show off to a girl at a bar. And then there's malice. And people, the Pac-Man perimeter that offered that roof to Thomas Crooks on that fateful day in July was malice. That was a setup. That was a let it happen on purpose or a made it happen on purpose. This Pac-Man cutout doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't even happen by incompetence. That was an active decision to create the weakness. And then there were many other active decisions to allow the weakness to persist. And we can't ask questions about that anymore because we were told that it was Crooks. He acted alone. No more questions. He had no social media footprint except for what we now later discovered, but that can't be true because it came from Tucker Carlson. Move on and get over it. Now, that being said, there was a response to that report, and it was a letter that came down. Let me see where it is. It's a letter that came down basically saying, this individual who's now obviously going to lose his job, the individual, just some interesting tidbits, his name, more or less relevant. He was a Biden holdover. He's an immigrant to the States who was naturalized or got his citizenship in 2015 or 17. But bottom line, he a newly acquired citizenship of America, and then 2 years later started working for the Biden regime. Didn't like Trump and Vance's policies on immigration and deportation and ICE, and was a Biden holdover, who I don't think he was acting with malice in terms of what he was saying. He's just, got a cool job. What's the point of having a cool job if you can't use it to impress some chicks, eh? Well, Secret Service Deputy Director Quinn issues internal email ahead of James O'Keefe undercover expose of an agent, says agent fell short of standard, asks all agents to evaluate whether they have the professionalism it takes to put their lives on the line. This is Susan Crabtree, who's also been on the channel. She's amazing. And the letter reads as follows. To the men and women of the Secret Service, over the past several months, an agency employee was deliberately targeted and manipulated by a citizen journalist media organization that misrepresented itself in an effort to get close to the employee and expose sensitive information. This is the second time in less than a year that our personnel have been subjected to the same deceptive tactic. It's called undercover journalism, and you should always be on the lookout for it. Keep your schmeckle in your pants. If a chick is trying to get with you, she's probably trying to get something from you, but alas, I digress. Sadly, in this instance, the employee failed to meet the standards demanded of this agency and engaged in conduct that runs counter to our values, our policies, and the training we provide to prevent exactly this type of compromise. This is a cover your ass memo. I recognize that situations like this can involve real personal pressures, and I do not dismiss the gravity of that. Still, I am disappointed in how this was handled and the impact it will have on others. When one person falls short, it places an added burden on colleagues who are left to rebuild trust that each of us works hard every day to earn and protect. The truth is, the overwhelming majority of you get this right. You show up with professionalism, humility, and a deep respect for the privacy of those we protect. You embody service over self, and you honor that discretion that our protectees deserve. That discretion is not negotiable. Discretion and respect for privacy are fundamental to this work and to the trust placed in us. If someone cannot meet that expectation consistently, and this may not be the right type of profession for them. I would ask those individuals to take a moment and to reevaluate why they are here and why they do this job. Our mission demands a higher standard, and we owe it to each other and to those we protect to uphold it. To the overwhelming majority, the quiet professionals exceeding the standard every day, thank you for your support, service, and sacrifice. Matthew Quinn, Deputy Director. My only 2 cents to that is, go back to this paragraph. The truth is, the overwhelming majority of you get this right. And the reality is, it only takes one person to get it wrong and someone gets killed. The vast majority do it right. The reality, the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Butler had a vast majority of people doing their job well. Maybe. There it looked like there were a whole hell of a lot of people who, by accident or on purpose, were not doing their job. But it's all fine and well. It's a zero-fail game. It's a zero-fail mission. And if you need to tell someone not to take selfies and not to post information, you might want to look at the hiring process. You might want to look at the training process. You might want to look at the reminder process. My father always said, like, if the chef can't cook the food properly, who's hiring the chef? You can get mad at a McDonald's short cook who can't cook a, high-end filet mignon. But if you hire the McDonald's short cook staff to a fancy steakhouse and they can't do the job properly, you don't get to blame them. You blame the person that did the hiring. And I remember this. We were at a restaurant and there was some pianist playing ambient music. It was the worst music ever. And, someone at the table, I don't know, it was not me because I remember hearing the lesson and not being the one who says, what a terrible pianist. This is a joke. And my dad's like, the pianist is only as good as the pianist can be. Whoever hired that pianist and said this is going to be a good idea to put that pianist in here is the one that failed. It's not the pianist's fault he's not that good. He'll get better or he won't. But the person that hired him is the one to blame for that poor performance, not the pianist himself. So you look at those staff, and when you see what was going on with staff fighting out of Obama's place, it might be that the days of DEI have come home to roost. And it might be that the days of politically motivated hiring and politically motivated firing, because the Biden DOJ and the Biden administration were damn good at purging the political elements that they didn't want from their administration, those chickens may have come home to roost.